As promised, coming into the second halftime show, we are joined by co-owner David Markley. You probably remember his face from the first game, coming in the color before you joined us.
The legend himself, David Markley, absolutely.
And he joins us on set.
How you gentlemen?
How you doing,
Hey,
David?
Doing well.
Good?
Good to see you.
Awesome, bro.
All right, and David, coming in tonight, just seeing the turnout for today after Tuesday's news of going USL Pro. I mean, you're probably not so surprised to see this kind of turnout, are you?
No, and with the World Cup going on, of course, it's a great time for everybody to get out and see soccer live. I mean, it's fun to be able to watch the top teams in the world play, but then to be able to come out and watch local stars play and the up-and-coming stars. I'm not surprised by the crowd. We even had a dinosaur tonight, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, wow. Right, I saw that out in the goal side. Just
yeah, that's our partnership with the Long Center, and we had a dinosaur out here. It was a lot of fun.
Hey, see if you can get them on the field. I've heard they've got good legs.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, if we need a header or something late in the game, a lot of height. So.
Oh, speaking of good legs, Cito Sion out there playing just fantastic.
He is so strong. When he's on his A game, I'll put him against anybody. He's so strong with his back to the goal and being able to control the ball and win it and then create a shot for himself, and a lot of power. Very powerful player.
Right. And, looking at this team, seeing the way they're coming back into this, showing that energy. I mean, on Tuesday at the press conference, Renee came out and told him and said, like he did whenever he visited Mississippi, go out and get some 3 points. I'd like to see that energy. They're showing that today. And, I mean, we were talking a little bit before the broadcast, going USL Pro, you see players like this that, want to make that squad next year. Just whenever you look at that, what do you see throughout that kind of perspective?
Sure, there's certainly players on the team that have the possibility of going pro and being on our team next year. We'd love to have many of the players because they're quality guys. They're not just great players, they're really quality individuals, many of them locals. So hopefully many of them are auditioning, would earn a spot on our roster next year. A few of the other guys will be drafted into MLS like we have the last couple of years. I mean, there are a few guys that will jump up and have opportunity to play at different levels, but we'd love to have some of these guys on the team next year.
Right. And for some of the viewers that didn't get to hear the news on Tuesday, maybe not in detail or for whatever reason, just the process of going from USL PDL 2 years ago, making this move so quickly, just what was the process like from then to now? What brought this into action and really made it a reality?
Right, well, it's certainly something we've been working on since we first founded the franchise in 2011. It's really been the plan to go back to the pro level. And, it starts off with quality on the field. We had to really concentrate the first year and put a product on the field that people wanted to be associated with. And then we did well. We made the playoffs, had a nice quality product. We did things well as far as treating the players professionally. That helped us recruit and have a good team this past season. But we've also been building up the fan base, building up the business base, because at the end of the day, it is a small business. We're a startup company, if you want to think about it that way, and we need to make it work financially. And so I was pleased to have Renee Van de Zand join as an owner last year to help finance to where we were able to raise, get some more full-time staff and things like that to be able to raise the standard one notch higher. And we've been gradually ramping up to get back to USL Pro, and we're really glad to be able to make that announcement because Austin deserves a professional team. They deserve one now.
Right. And during that time, moving to USL Pro, I was at the press conference. I liked how you let it off, dispelling some rumors, saying that you won't be the 33rd team in the World Cup. That'd have been interesting to see, but
yeah, as one of our fans said, they were afraid we were going to win it, so that's why they didn't invite us. But yeah,
right, that probably would have been.
Actually, the way things are going so far in the World Cup, we might just have a good chance because all the underdogs are pulling upsets.
Right, is it too late to get a flight?
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, we could be going through that way, but through that press conference, I felt like in Austin, I think one of the interesting things from President Ross of USL Pro saying, this is an interesting time for soccer. This throughout his time growing up, people always asking him, when's soccer going to make it? When's soccer going to make it? And he says it's now. And in Austin, you've been around, you've started this team. Aztex Part 2, do you feel like the time for soccer is now for this town, for this city?
I do, and every time there's a big event in the U.S., everybody's like, okay, soccer's going to finally arrive. Everybody will love it, whether it was when we first hosted the World Cup in '94. We've had some special players come along. When Freddie Adu came along, we thought he was going to be the savior. When Beckham came over, or when Brandy Chastain ripped her jersey off, or whatever, And along the way, each step, we've gained additional fans and additional supporters, but as more and more people play, as more and more people watch in a pub with their friends or go to a watch party and watch the U.S. team play, they catch the fever, they understand what it's about. Austin has a great soccer community between the rec leagues, the youth leagues, and everything else, but just the pure talent is what attracted me. I knew we had local players, talented local players, and And we wanted to do it right. We've tried to grow from the grassroots up. We have a local ownership group, and we wanted it to be an Austin product. And so I think soccer, the time is definitely getting here in the U.S. where it'll be it'll continue to grow from here. But I think in Austin it was the right time. We were really tempted to pull the trigger and maybe go USL Pro this year. We said no, we want to take the time to do it right. So we held off and made the announcement for next year.
Right. And the interesting part of waiting for this time is that what USL Pro is doing, their relationship with MLS has improved. Next season, MLS teams will either have to have a correspondent team in the USL Pro. USL Pro will have interleague play. There's a relationship there that all USL Pro teams will have that you wouldn't have had this year. So, looking at that, has there been an advancement in just really what relationship the Aztecs will have with any MLS teams, or has that advanced any further?
Well, certainly, and I actually soft-shooted a little bit at the press conference the other day so I can make an even more firm statement right here on UT Student TV. But, I mean, we've definitely gotten interest from MLS clubs in being an affiliate. I won't say it's a foregone conclusion, but it's definitely our goal.
Right.
And we've received significant interest to where I would say with 95% confidence we'll have an MLS affiliate as early as next year.
Gotcha.
And what that would look like then is we would end up having some players that are on a roster for that affiliate that would actually be playing games here on loan. It is a little bit different than, as I said the other day at the press conference, than if you look at Major League Baseball, the relationship they have with their minor league teams, or the D League for the NBA, or the Stars, with the Dallas Stars parent club, because we could potentially also send players to other teams. So it's not a one-for-one relationship, but it's absolutely a way that we can have direct connection to MLS teams and get us one step closer to that relationship.
Right, and that relationship, it does improve because, whenever you look at it from last year, players have to enter the draft to get into the MLS, and now you've got a straight pipeline that way.
We have multiple ways. Somebody could get pulled up mid-year from our team to help a need of the parent club. Mm-hmm. If nothing else, like I say, we're going to have some MLS players on the roster under MLS contract starting next year.
Right.
So we're really excited about that.
And one of the interesting things that you pointed out, you talk about going from the grassroots up, how this is a step towards a goal. 6 of the last 8 MLS expansion teams started at USL Pro. And, in this direction, Sacramento was a team in the USL that first got their team and they sold out the first 3 times. Is that something that, might have to happen in order for, maybe the next step to come?
Well, certainly, stadium is a big piece of it. We love being here at House Park. We call it a home. This house is our home. We have a great record here, and knock on wood here real quick. We're up right now, but Laredo's a tough team. But we really like to be able to have a soccer-specific stadium. There are a lot of fans that would really love to be able to have a certain game day experience that a soccer-specific stadium would help enhance. And so that's a big piece of it. And I believe with that, the attendance numbers would be even better. We have a great crowd out here tonight, but it would obviously increase. And I think that combination, you have to perform.
Right.
It can't just be a desire. You can't just have a lot of people that want it to happen. You need to perform. You need to put butts in seats at games. You need to be able to demonstrate that you can support a team. We need a strong ownership group, soccer-specific stadium, and then be able to demonstrate that you're going to get people out, have the attendance, so it'll be a financially viable market for MLS at the right time. And for that time is a couple years down the road, or 5, 10, we don't know.
Right.
But we're going to do everything we can to make it happen as quickly as possible. In the meantime, we're going to have great soccer here next year. And, people underestimate the quality of PDL, but our 2012 team has already had 7 guys drafted off. We've had 8 total drafted, but 7 of them were on the 2012 team with Senor Kelly here. And I think there are 3 more guys out there, that were on that team that have a chance to get drafted in the MLS. If you think of it, we could have 10 guys off of that first team that are MLS quality players, or at least drafted for a good look. And so the quality in PDL, people, they'll say, well, it's just an amateur league. It's amateur because we want the guys to still have the college eligibility, but there's a lot of talent out there.
Absolutely. And to second that, Kubena 2 years ago played for the Aztecs. He's the youngest ever player to score a hat trick in the MLS. You got Dylan Powers, who's unbelievable. Blake Smith. The list goes on and on. So what's exciting, and I'm sure David's excited about it, is now you've got some prospects that you can groom and stay with the squad. So instead of some of those players, of course we're going to have players go to the MLS year in, year out because of how great of an organization we are. But there's a lot of players that can, if they don't make the MLS, or maybe they're just not ready next year. Maybe they sign a contract now for 2-3 years at the Aztecs and then get pulled up after that.
the opportunities.
Absolutely, and we want people to be able to reach whatever level of potential they have. And they have to go out there and earn it. The guys have to have the talent. They have to work hard to get there. But if we can be that conduit to where they're able to go play in MLS or go play in Europe, that's great. If it's something where they can go down to Mexico and play, that's great. If they can stay right here in Austin, Texas and play in front of family and friends, we would sincerely love that as well.
Right. And you talk about a little bit about the new ownership, 2 new owners coming through, a lot of experience with high athletics, bringing the X Games here out in the Circuit of Americas as well, really bringing a lot of sports to Austin as a main point. Austin named Forbes' #1 growing city the last 4 years. I mean, it's a growing city. I mean, you mentioned the things that build towards possibly being an attractive point towards the MLS. I mean, that last deadline, you talk about timeline, 2020 deadline of 24 teams, 23 have been announced. That last one, it seems like San Antonio is one of the big ones to beat out at that time. You know, them being the Scorpions, they've had a record-setting attendance going through that way. Just, are they really the team that really is the competition whenever going for that last spot?
I'm all for friendly competition, so if San Antonio and Austin can challenge each other and we both grow stronger through that, I love it. But I don't really think there's a race for a 24th spot. I mean, there are a couple of other communities that are also mentioned, but I believe that, you know, if there are 24 teams already in play, but if our market is ready and right and the other MLS owners recognize that the league would be stronger with the addition of a team in Austin, I think there would be an opportunity for expansion past 24. And their goal is to have 24 by 2020, but I don't believe they've said anything that would prohibit another team. And so we certainly would love to be that 24th team. And that's going to be a goal of ours. We said it, but I don't, you know, that's not the driving factor for us because, again, we need to do it right. I don't want to do things fast. I want to do things right. This team needs an Austin brand and Austin identity. We need to grow it organically so that it's successful long term. And I think we're on that right path.
Well, the path has begun. It began 2 years ago in Part 2 of the Aztecs, and Part 2 of the game will be coming up shortly after this. And David, thank you for spending time with us, and I appreciate you coming in for our halftime show.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for the great job you're doing here, and thank you for wearing a coat and tie out here. It's a little muggy out here.
I was about to say, we actually need new ones now because we sweated through these ones.
And no, you guys are doing a great job. Thank you so much for the coverage, and thanks for being out here with us. Go Aztecs, go UTC TV.
All right, thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
And that's our halftime show. We'll be back with the second half action here on Texas Student Television. Stay with us.